I still can't stand to look at my reflection. Not because I look bad. I don't. I'm 26, I've got the kind of effortless blonde waves and sharp cheekbones that get me double-tapped on Instagram, and I know how to use them. But when I look closely past the makeup, I can see the sheer, dumb arrogance that ruined the best thing I'd ever had. I let two stupid words. No label. Turn a committed, loving man into a casual, detached stranger, who now treats me like a discarded amenity. This whole disaster started with Ryan. Ryan was the perfect boyfriend material, which ironically, was exactly the problem. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't aggressive, and he didn't play games. He was a steady, kind, devastatingly handsome structural engineer. He remembered my coffee order, made sure my car was serviced, and showed up with my favorite wine after a bad day at work. We had been together for exactly 6 months when the bomb dropped, or more accurately, when I dropped the bomb on him. In my world. The world of endless dating apps and fleeting connections. Being official after 6 months felt premature. It felt like settling, like closing the door on options. I was waiting for the grand gesture, the proposal of commitment that would make me feel chosen and secure, but I wanted to keep the power dynamic tilted in my favor. If he thought I was his, he'd stop trying so hard. If I maintained a little distance, a little mystery, he'd be obsessed. That's the playbook, right? The night in question was our 6-month anniversary dinner. Ryan had taken me to a beautiful, dimly lit Italian restaurant downtown. Everything was perfect. He looked fantastic in a navy blazer, and I felt giddy. He was saying something sweet about how much he loved having me in his life when the waiter came over. The waiter, an older man with a kindly smile, was bringing the wine. He placed the bottle down and looked at Ryan. An anniversary, perhaps? This wine is perfect for a celebration. Ryan's face lit up with that honest, open happiness that was so unique to him. He put his hand over mine on the table. Not an anniversary, sir, but it's been 6 months. We're celebrating us. My girlfriend loves this place. Girlfriend. The word hit me like an unexpected slap. I felt a weird mix of alarm and annoyance. He was claiming me. In public. Without consulting me. It felt heavy, restrictive. It felt like he was cementing a future I hadn't fully agreed to yet. I quickly pulled my hand away, my smile freezing on my face. Oh, that's so sweet, I chirped, making sure my tone was light and dismissive, aimed more at the waiter than at Ryan. But we're not really doing labels yet. We're just casually dating. The waiter, sensing the sudden, sharp drop in temperature, just cleared his throat and retreated quickly, leaving the expensive wine unopened. Ryan just stared at me. His face, which had been so happy a second ago, went completely still. It wasn't anger, it was pure stunned incomprehension. What did you just say? He asked, his voice low and utterly flat. I tried to backtrack, to soften the blow with a flirtatious shrug. Honey, come on. 6 months is great, but girlfriend is such a heavy word. We're just seeing each other, having fun. Let's not put a label on it and rush things, okay? I reached for his hand again, but he retracted it slowly, resting it on his lap. I'm confused, Chloe, he said, still using that dangerously calm tone. We spend every weekend together. You leave your things at my place. We've met each other's friends. We're physically exclusive. We talk about future trips. I thought unequivocally that we were in a relationship. I thought you were my girlfriend, and I was your boyfriend. Well, we are boyfriend and girlfriend in practice, I explained, leaning in, trying to make it sound like some superior, enlightened relationship philosophy. But the label it's antiquated. It puts unnecessary pressure on things. We're just enjoying the flow, you know? Just casually dating. He nodded slowly, processing the input like the engineer he was. Casually dating. No label. So if we were to look at the Venn diagram of our current situation, the intersecting center is merely casual, and the 6 months of commitment, exclusivity, and emotional investment are outside the circles. I was getting irritated. Why couldn't he just accept the cool, modern arrangement? Don't be dramatic, Ryan. Look, I like you, I really like you. But I'm not ready to close the book yet. I just want things to be organic, you know? Ryan just took a deep breath, picked up his menu, and calmly signaled for the waiter. He paid for the wine and his half of the appetizers, even though we were supposed to split the whole bill later. Cancel the rest of the order, he told the waiter. Then he turned to me, his eyes perfectly blank. You're right, Chloe. Casual dating it is. No pressure. Let's not rush things. He drove me home in silence. The atmosphere in his car, usually filled with laughter and my favorite music, was thick enough to choke on. When he pulled up to my building, I leaned over to give him a goodbye kiss. He subtly turned his head, letting my lips brush his cheek. "Thanks for dinner, Ryan," I whispered, confused and slightly panicked. "It was just a casual date, Chloe," he replied, looking straight ahead. "Drive safe. See you around." He waited until I was safely inside my building, which I realize now was the last truly boyfriend thing he ever did. The next few days were confusing. I expected a flurry of remorseful texts, a bouquet of flowers, an apology for his overreaction. Instead, I got nothing. I reached out on Wednesday, sending a silly gif of a dog looking guilty, with the text, "Miss you, engineer boy. Too much pressure last night?" He replied 5 hours later. Not with a text, but a signal message, the app we use for private communication. Not at all. "Thanks for clarifying things. Very helpful. Hope you have a good week. Thanks for clarifying things." That phrase sent a shiver down my spine, but I quickly dismissed it. He was just being dramatic. He'd cool down. Then came Friday. Usually Friday was our sacred date night. I sent him a text at noon. "Sushi tonight? My treat." His reply was almost instantaneous, a shocking break from his usual slow, considered texts. "Can't tonight, Chloe. Hanging out with a friend. Definitely hit me up next week, though." Hanging out with a friend. I frowned at the text. Ryan didn't have many close local friends outside of work, and he never prioritized them over me. I tried to call him. Straight to voicemail. I tried again an hour later. Same. The panic started to set in. That night, I scrolled through his Instagram for the first time in ages. Ryan was a low-key user. Mostly pictures of circuits, infrastructure, and his dogs. But on his story, there it was. A clear, high-resolution photo of a woman's hand holding a cocktail glass, with a stunning gold bracelet wrapped around her wrist. The caption, in Ryan's signature dry, technical wit read, "System optimization complete. Network upgrade is running smoothly. Testing new interface." And the location tag? The exact sushi place I had suggested. I felt a lightning bolt of jealousy and a gut punch of pure, unadulterated shock. He was out. With another woman. At our place. And he was calling her a new interface. I suddenly hated the casual dating status I had so desperately clung to. I messaged him immediately, trying to sound casual, but the raw rage leaked through my words. "Oh, that sushi place is great. Who's the friend?" He replied an hour later. "Just someone I met recently. She's really into trying new sushi spots." Like I said, definitely hit me up next week. Someone I met recently. The blood rushed to my head. This was his revenge, I realized. He had taken my casual status and twisted it into a cruel weapon. But it was only going to be temporary. He was just trying to scare me into officially labeling us. All I had to do was hold out, show him I wasn't bothered, and he'd come crawling back. I was the prize. He knew that. I spent the next 3 weeks watching my life burn down in Ryan's Instagram story feed. He went from posting once a month to posting almost daily. There was Laura, an interior designer who he took on a hike. I hate hiking, and he used to always joke about it. There was Jessica, a finance executive with a sleek bob who he took to a new museum exhibit. I hate museums. Every date was photographed perfectly, every caption a little dig at our past. Post with Jessica, smiling next to an abstract sculpture. Enjoying a low-pressure, high-art experience. No need for heavy labels here. Post with Laura, climbing a steep trail. Putting in the effort required for a fulfilling connection. The view at the top is worth the climb. The worst was when he posted a picture of himself in his apartment, making his famous homemade pasta. The one he only ever made for me. The caption simply said, "Sharing a culinary project with a friend." She said she appreciates the quiet moments. I was going insane. I tried contacting him repeatedly, but he was always polite, responsive, and utterly unavailable. Me, "Can we grab a drink Thursday? I really want to catch up." Ryan, "Sorry, booked. Got a friend coming over to help me finish a puzzle." Me, "How about Sunday brunch? I miss your stories." Ryan, "Can't this weekend. Got a long drive for a casual trip with a new acquaintance." Acquaintance. Friend. Interface. Not once did he use the word date or girlfriend. He was holding up the mirror, showing me exactly what I had sounded like. and it was devastatingly effective. I went from being his priority to being a low-priority contact he might casually fit into his schedule if his friends didn't call. Finally, after nearly a month of this purgatory, he agreed to meet. Ryan, okay, Tuesday is free. Dinner? I know a great little place. I was thrilled. This was it. The apology. The return to normalcy. I dressed impeccably, planning my speech. I would tell him I was wrong, that I wanted the label, that I wanted to be his official girlfriend. I arrived at the Mediterranean restaurant, a beautiful, airy place with small, intimate tables. Ryan was already seated. He looked incredible, relaxed, and annoyingly happy. Hey Ryan, I said, trying to keep my voice light, as if I hadn't spent the last 3 weeks stalking his dating life. Chloe. Great to see you, he said, standing up briefly, but without any of the lingering affection or a hug I was used to. He was polite, friendly, and utterly distant. I already ordered a glass of rose. Did you want something? Dinner was painful. I tried to talk about us, about our memories, about the future, but Ryan kept redirecting the conversation to my work, the weather, and his new friends. He talked about Laura's great sense of humor, and Jessica's impressive career with the casual detachment of someone discussing a minor celebrity. So you've been busy, I finally managed, forcing a smile. It's nice you've been making so many new casual friends. Ryan chuckled, shaking his head. It's been great, actually. I really took your advice to heart. You know, about keeping things light and avoiding pressure. It's amazing how much fun you can have when you're just casually dating, not tied down to a label. I think I'm ready for the label now, Ryan, I blurted out, unable to hold it in any longer. I was wrong. I was being ridiculous. I want to be your girlfriend. I want to be exclusive. Ryan put down his fork, his eyes going back to that blank, analytical look he'd had at the Italian restaurant. Chloe. See, now I'm the one who doesn't want to rush things. We're just flowing, right? It's important to be organic. I started to panic. But you know we're exclusive, right? We haven't seen anyone else. He tilted his head. Why would you assume that? We established 6 months ago that we were just casually dating. No label means no commitment, Chloe. It means I'm free to explore my options. Which, thanks to your clarity, I have been. My stomach dropped. You've been sleeping with those acquaintances? Ryan shrugged, a tiny, dismissive movement. Sleeping with them? Hanging out with them? Does it matter? We're all just enjoying the flow. They all appreciate the lack of pressure. And frankly, I've realized that I prefer the women who are happy to celebrate the connection, rather than worry about the linguistics of it. The blow was physical. He wasn't playing a game. He had simply, logically, and efficiently recalibrated his system based on my input. I had told him I was not exclusive, and he had treated that statement as an engineering constraint he was now operating within. The waiter arrived with the bill, placing it squarely between us. Ryan didn't even glance at it. He pulled out his wallet, counting out the exact amount for his half of the food and his glass of wine, plus a 20% tip on his portion only. He put the cash down neatly on the table, right next to the bill. He stood up, putting on his jacket. Well, this was fun, Chloe. A great casual hangout. We should do it again sometime if our schedules align. I stared at the remaining balance of the bill, the portion for my meal, my 2 glasses of wine, and the remaining tax. Ryan, wait. What are you doing? He looked down at me, and I finally saw the deep, cold satisfaction in his eyes. He had won. He had turned his heartbreak into a surgical strike of revenge. What? Oh, the bill, he said, picking up the small pile of cash he'd placed down. He dropped a single credit card on top of the cash. The one I had given him for emergencies when we were together. He tapped it lightly. We're just casually dating, right? We're not connected. You're not my girlfriend, and I'm not your boyfriend. You've got your side of the tab, right? Don't want to put any unnecessary pressure on things like financial support. He didn't wait for my answer. He simply turned and walked out of the restaurant, leaving me sitting there, red-faced, abandoned, and staring at a dinner bill I had to pay alone. I was furious, humiliated, and utterly destroyed. I had traded a loyal, devoted man for a cruel lesson in semantics, and he had won every single round. The last I saw of him was a new Instagram story later that night. A quiet, high-angle photo of his 2 dogs sleeping on his couch. The caption: stable, reliable, and unconditional. No label required. He had chosen the dogs over me. And he had done it with the casual, devastating detachment I had taught him.